What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the next video in learning PHP. My name is QDSani and you guys watching my channel Wood. Alright, so in this video we're going to see what is default constructor. In the previous video we have seen the constructor, what is constructor, and what is destructor. And we said that with the constructor you guys need to put a function and put a 2 underscore in its constructor, and we relate this one to the magic methods, and exactly same goes with the destructor, and we need to put a null, or we need to put unset here with the destructor. Okay, so we have even put a parameter here. In our parameter is a name, and we assign this name to this full names, and we put our arguments here. So that's our parameters and that's our arguments. So what if we gonna come here and, for example, we're gonna exactly same try xyz here. We're gonna do xyz here, but before we continue with our default constructor, which I have created the file here, you guys can do the same. I have a very short message of subscribe me, and I'll be back shortly. Please subscribe Wood. As always, our programming videos will continue. At Wood, we are committed to bring you the best programming videos. If you like my videos, please subscribe my channel. Click the bell icon to stay updated with my new videos. Welcome back. So we're gonna continue our default constructor here. So we have a constructor, and as I said before the message, I said what if you have our parameter here instead of here. So once you guys put your default parameter here, you don't need to put it here. Say for example, if you're gonna copy this social web, so I'm gonna copy this one and I'm gonna put it here, PHP, and so that I have the same class as social, or we can put it social. We don't have to put a social web, but doesn't matter. So I'm gonna close this. Okay, so we have a full name. For example, we're gonna put just a name, and we're gonna remove this one at the moment. Okay, so what's the name? And in a social network, we are dealing with real people, and the real people have a friends, they have a family, they have a, say for example, they go to school, or they have a favorite cinema or the favorite movie. So there are a lot of attributes, our properties you can give it to, say for example, social networking side. Say for example, we can put a public, and we can put age. Then we can do public, for example, address. Our public, for example, country. Or we can do public, for example, we do friends, how many friends our users has. So we have a properties, we have a public, age, we have an address, we have a, say for example, country, and we have a friends. Okay, so now we're gonna come here and we put a, say for example, name, and we put a Yazdani, and we put an age, we put a, for example, 30, we put an address, and we put a 1 2 3 ABC straight. And now we have an address, and for example we put a country. You can make up your country, or you can put any country, for example US or France, Germany, whatever. So I'll put Australia, and we can put a friends, and we can see how many friends for example our user has, which in case you can put your own name, and you can put your age, or you can put your real street, but I wouldn't recommend you guys put any real information because it stays in the computer. You just put a made up some things, and we can put a, for example, 5 friends, for example, and we're gonna come here and, for example, this your name, or you can put a your name camel case, and we assign the name to your name, and we put a this. Then we can put a your age, and we assign a age. Then we put a this, we put a your address, and we put an address, and this one's gonna be public. It's gonna be this your we're gonna say country, and we assign a country, we assign a country, and the last one's we're gonna say this your friends, and we assign a friends. Alright, so everything's done. Now we have a constructor. We're going to remove this destructor. If you're looking here, we have a constructor. We have only one parameter here, but we don't have a default parameter as the case in the previous video. But in this video we have our constructor, but we have a default parameters here. So when you put a default parameters, it means say for example in social networking sites you can put something that defaults, but user can override this. So for example, if you want to put something that needs to be filled, for example in a survey, if you're going for votings, things like that, sometimes you need to put some default parameters for user to fill in. Say for example, if it's first name, not many people understand first name, then you put a Joe, for example, e.g. our Joe. So you leave a room for the user to come and fill that part of your form. Very useful. Say for example in real social networking sites you can use all these properties, say for example name, age, address, country, and friends, and you can make up a lot of other things, post, reply, blah blah blah, images, videos, how many videos the user have, how many what's the school, what's the college, what's the university user gone through, and for example if you guys making listing, if the user is selling stuff, we can put a type of stuff, if it's free or it's not free, is it old, new, or what's the price of the stuff. You can make up a lot of other stuff, for example other like for social, or you can make it for e-commerce, or you can make it for classified ads, for example, like that, websites. So very useful this if you default constructor. So now our default constructor is set, and we're gonna come here and we're gonna say for example we can create our objects, say for example our social, or we can make social objects, or some sort of objects. We can put a social object, we can put a social obj equal to new social, for example. So what's not social web, it's just a social. Okay, so it's a social and it's a social. Alright, so now it's a time for us to come and access all these properties that we put in our constructor. Say for example if you have a name, this guy here, and we put a Yazdani for your name here, and then you assign this say for example you come here and assign Yazdani some value to this property. Then you guys needs to access this one. Say for example if you guys want to access your properties and inside your constructors, you can do it, you can do so with your object here. So we created an object and we put a echo, for example we put a echo, and we put a social obj, social object. And what's the first one? The first one's gonna be your age, your name, that's the first one. Then we do echo, and we can put a, say for example br, and I'm gonna show you for example if you do only one, because we're gonna go there. For example, I'm gonna show you how it's gonna look. Our we're gonna come here and we're gonna refresh. We have a default constructor, and he said that's yes done. You can make it a little bit nicer too, and we're gonna come here and say, for example, you can make it very nice message here. Says instead of that boring, your name is, and you can put it name, and you can put an echo your age is, and with social obj your age. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this one to make it a lot easier. So I'm gonna copy and I'm gonna put it here, and we do another echo, and we say your address is, and we can put a user's address. So for example, we can put a social obj, and we put a your address, and we can put your say break here, and now we're gonna put our echo, and we put your country is, we do put our country, say for example social obj, and we can do your country. Alright, so we can put another break, and we can do echo, and we put at the last one your friends you have, and then we can put it here, then we can put a social obj, that's our social your friends you have, that many friends you have, and you can tell the number of the friends, which for example we have 5, or you can make it say for example 15, and we say your friends you have, for example this much friends, and we can do friends here. Alright, so everything is done. Keep in mind, say for example friends, you can put your literal string here, put two concatenations around, and you can put this one. So here you can see the number of the friends here then, and we're gonna come and run, and your name is Yazdani, your age is 30, your address is 123 ABC Street, your country is Australia, and you have 15 friends. Okay, say now we didn't put anything, we didn't put assign anything as the case here, and previously we used to assign something here because we didn't have anything inside our constructor. So I'm missing parentheses here. Say for example we had a constructor, but we didn't put any assign anything here. We used to assign here. So this is our parameter, this is our argument. We used to put argument as argument. So whenever we instantiate our object, and inside here we used to put for example argument. Why we put argument? Because we have some parameter inside our constructor, but in this case here we didn't put anything here. We did not put anything. For example, we don't want to put anything here. Anything you guys gonna put it here is gonna override the top. Say for example if you want to do Azad, for example, and we're gonna look, and we're gonna see your name is Azad, because it's gonna override this one. So if we don't want to put anything override this one, for example, if you don't want anything, say for example, and override this one, then you leave this one alone. So if you don't put anything, then the PHP is gonna look for the parameter with the default parameter. This is called default parameter inside the PHP. So when you assign some values to your parameter, and that parameter resides inside the constructor, and then when you guys instantiate that one, you guys need to put a value. So anything you guys gonna put it here is gonna override this one. Say for example if for Azad, our for example if you put age is 20, and you put ABC is for example 100 Washington Street, and for example the country you can put a USA, for example, and friends you can put a, for example, you can put a 300, for example. So we have put alternatives to this, the top. We put a Yazdani, we put a H, we put a 20, and instead of ABC Street we put a Washington Street, and we put a USA, and we put a friends, we put a 300. So now we're gonna see that everything is changed. Your name is Azad, your age is 20, your address is 100 Washington Street, USA. You have 300 friends. Okay, so here we have you guys need to put a little bit room here and little bit room. If you're wondering why sometimes you're gonna come like this and there is no room, you can put it here so you can make more room. Keep in mind this space is here is also, I say, this space means a lot for for PHP in any programming language. Say for example, if you want to create a space, you can do this one, or you can do just a simple like empty, and you're gonna see here that PHP is gonna leave room for you. So that's how you leave space. Alright, so this is now effectively we have created our default here. If we don't put anything here as argument, then the PHP is gonna look for this. This is our default. For example, if you guys, very useful, I have seen it a lot of times in a lot of PHP programs. So this is the expert way of when you guys create something and you assign a value, but you're gonna need it every now and then. So that's how it's done. But make sure when you do that and you don't put anything here. If you don't put anything here as argument, then PHP is gonna be quite okay with this one. But if you put anything here in your when you instantiate your object and you have an object variable and you want to access all your properties, then it's very hard. Then the PHP is going to look for these arguments. It's not going to look for these parameters. So we remove this one, and we're going to go in there, and we're going to see the previous one, the default one. This is the default one. For example, if you guys want to make, say for example, social networks and sites, you can put for example, enter your name, enter name. This is very useful like that. Our here you can put enter address. You can put enter your address. So that's how it's very useful. So put your name, enter your name, and put your enter your address. But that's just example. It means with the PHP, as we have learned, we can do our forms, and we can do our placeholder. We can do your placeholder, but this is example of your constructor. So don't get this one that you're gonna go there in the program and you can put all the values here. We don't do this. We only do this for core programming. When you go and create the core engine of the PHP, then you create these values here. Otherwise you don't create this one for the forms, because the forms PHP handles totally differently the forms. If you don't know about the forms, you can go and watch our another videos about how we're gonna fill up the forms with the PHP. But this is about the core PHP programming, object-oriented programming. It's got nothing to do with the forms. So this is just example of how we're gonna create our parameters, and what happens, how the parameters behave, what happens if you put something as your arguments here. So when you put your arguments, it means it's going to override the parameters. That's true for C++, that's true for Java, that's true for Python, Ruby on Rails, that's true for every programming language that I know. Every programming language, including COBOL, including Fortran, including every programming language. So that's how the compilers behave, that's how the interpreters behave. So that's how it's done. If you want your default parameter, that's a default parameters. If you want to put your arguments here, then it's going to override your default parameters. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and make sure you subscribe my channel. If you guys have any question or comment, leave in the comment box. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video, and bye.